Welcome back, Superstar. It is I, your lovely host with the most. And I have to say, I have been completely trapped in the last long time. Time is unspecific. Playing this one game that came out recently, Stellar Blade. And I gotta say, this game really slaps hard for a game. Like, for 30 bucks, well, for me, I pay like 80 bucks or so because I bought the digital deluxe thing. I didn't even buy, I pre-ordered that damn thing. But I would say it was worth the money. You know, I would say, despite all its critiques, all its questionable, woke activist propaganda that came out of the game, that people wanted to fight tooth and nail to prove that it was just a horny game made by gooners and coomers who just want to play it to see a woman that wasn't made to be made like Hulk Hogan. I would say it was fun, down to the combat, down to the exploration, down to the nano suits. Just the bosses, the music, the world, the lore. It's honestly pretty interesting, and I would say it was worth the money. Hell, the game alone right now was like, what, 60 bucks? I guess pretty standard for any kind of game nowadays, but it was only like 30 gigabytes. That's probably like the only expensive ass game I bought that only has that small of a size. And I was like, really? 60 gigabytes? Not even 60 gigs, 30 gigs? That's pretty small compared to any other game I have that wasn't from a PS4 game or I wasn't just a small indie title. It's honestly very shocking to see that this was only like 30 gigs. I was expecting to be like, here's 30 now, but here's like 60 later. But no, like, and it's not even about the space overall. It's the fact that it came out in such perfect condition. The fact that this game hardly even had an update. I think it only had like 2 updates and 1 major update, and that was just to add the boss rush, some nano suits, it's just little things. Other than that, this game hardly ever needed a patch like every other day, which is honestly very terrifying for once to see a game to come out the gate and didn't need to be overhauled within like the first 3 hours. It was a completed game through and through. Like, I only think I encountered 1 bug, and that was like after all the patches been put through. Like every last little small update and that 1 major update. That was it. And even then, it wasn't even game breaking. It was just a random 1 in a million chance. Cause I played this game at least twice in a row now. Perfect runs, no bugs, no problems, no anything. It was all so immaculate. It was beautiful even. I love every second of it. Playing through it again, hearing all the characters, doing all the side quests, hearing all the damn music and the boss fights, it was something beautiful. Even the plot, for I guess the most part, could be constituted as there. It was still something else I was understanding and following. Hell, I would say it kept me very interested through and through. For what I assumed to be was like 70 hours I just put through both playthroughs of that game. The first time I played it, I think it was like 40 or 20 hours, 30 hours, and then the second playthrough, so I get the neutral ending was like just added 70 overall. I'm gonna go back on my 3rd playthrough because I still need to finish like at least 4 more achievements to platinum it, and I still need to get the bad ending, the worst ending. So I'm gonna be there for another good couple of hours playing the game again, and I'm pretty much a walking god in that game. Like, everything gets fucking folded in 3 seconds, unless it was just blatant incompetence on my half, or just over ego and me overstepping my boundaries and getting completely curse stomped. I would say the characters are pretty unique too. Eve, Adam, Lily, the residents of Zion, Oracle, Raven, like the other Nativa, Tachi, and them. Sure, half of the characters that I mentioned that are not either Oracle, Adam, Eve, and Lily, and Raven, I know have everyone plays small and relatively minor roles, but they still had enough screen time to feel that presence, At least from my opinion. It felt good to see them, and it looked great. The action was spot on, the choreography was good, the bosses and the enemies looked very grotesque and, at the same time amazing. Shoot, and you have Eve, this complete fucking angel. I guess it's kind of funny because in the game, well, they do call her, and at least all the airborne squadrons that rock with her or work with her are angels and descended from the heavens, the sky, from space. Little lore dump. But you have Eve, this pretty ass woman, fighting all these grotesque creatures. And this, I will say, this Dark Souls, Devil May Cry kind of esque game, it's not heavily leaning towards DMC. I would say the controls are fit for more like a semi-repetitive hack and slash, where the combos are not too necessarily, where the combos or the movesets you learn are not needed to be the very best. So the game has its own like thing. It's not too demanding of the player to master the game 100% all the time. You know, they even have exo spines that can help you parry and block and dodge better, heal you better, or just kill the enemy outright for the most part. So the game is not, there's no skill ceiling towards the game. So if you think about going to this game and you're thinking about to get murdered in like 2 hits, yeah, it will happen early game. You're lower level and you haven't really upgraded, you haven't found any good gear yet, you haven't really leveled up the drone, your exo spines, or all your little other equipment. But I would say going through my second playthrough, when I died, it was just from overzealous. I was overreaching where there was no need to be reaching, or I just came blatantly unprepared for some of the boss fights, or I just got completely just jumped. I would say that Stellar Blade is a game that's not heavily leaning towards the Dark Souls-ish games. You know what I'm talking about, like giant areas of enemies that could kill you in like 1 hit. Your weapons barely do anything unless some weird crack meta build you got in tune to. You know, all the boss fights are glorious and giant. You know what I'm talking about for Dark Souls-esque games. Pretty much in the same general area of you die if you so much get, like, you know, like Retromanias. Just simple games where you get fucking curb stomped by a stiff breeze for no reason. I would say for a PlayStation IP, Stellar Blade definitely stands on its own, and it has its own unique. The thing I want to talk about nextly is Eve as a character. I know a lot of people say that she's not really awe-inspiring or pretty or really like capturing in terms of character, like story-wise or motivation-wise or anything. She's just kind of like I guess you could say like a blank slate for the most part. But I think that's kind of not the whole point of Eve, you know? Hell, the way how Stellar Blade starts, we are pretty much in the middle of whatever the hell this even is happening in Stellar Blade with Earth and the Tebas and this evasion, like monsters. We don't know anything really about Eve's backstory beyond Tachi, her friend. That's really it. Mother Spear, Tachi, the airborne squadrons. We don't know anything about the colony. We don't know anything besides the human extinction and what happened. I mean, as the story progresses, we do know more about it, you know. But for like, I guess for like just blatant spoiler warnings, it's like I won't dabble too much into it. But in terms of just base game on its own, we don't know anything about Eve for the most part. We don't know anything about her backstory, her past. And for me being a hypocritical piece of crap, this is the first time I will want a game not to just give me everything about a character. This is the first time I don't want a game just to give me this lengthy ass backstory, this lengthy ass history buff. You know, I don't know anything about it. Sure, in some cases I wouldn't mind having a prequel or some, you know, side project like a manga or some light novel or hell some animation short to fill in some of the missing gaps, because Stellar Blade, and I'm about to retcon everything I just said about needing the lore of everything, they open up a lot more questions that I want to know more about. I want to know more about Mother Spear and the colony and the airborne squadrons. I want to know more what the hell happened in the past that made them want to, you know, that happened. And I know the story blatantly gives all the answers, but I guess I particularly want to know Eve's story for the most part. You know, Eve comes in as a blank slate for a lot of the game. You know, she knows everything. She's a badass airborne squadron. She could fight. You know, she's not really as expressive as anyone would be. She's just kind of like she speaks in a very, not dead manner, but just very stoic. But which is, I guess, kind of cute in a lot of side quests where she'd be a lot more expressive when she talks more about having an opinion, when she says a lot of things. I remember this one particular side quest where you could change her hair, and and she personally went into the barber and stylist and just be like, how can you make my hair not dull? You know, and she was clearly offended by that, especially when the guy was like, oh, dull, and then walked away. He looked at this fine ass woman and just said she was dull, and I guess she felt kind of cross about that. There's a whole side quest when she went to go get this psycho woman a memory stick of her lover, which at this point was probably obvious that she killed the guy, but no, it was just a lot of things. I feel like Eve didn't need to be expressive. She didn't need to be bouncing off the walls, screaming like a megalomaniac. She didn't need to be just so thought-provoking as a character. I wouldn't mind Eve just being just stoic for the most part, and she was that. She was longing. She had a lot of her words said a lot more than her expressions did. And it was good to look at that. It was good to gaze upon that, to see her like that in that state. Seeing the other airborne squatches, the memory sticks, her constantly keep saying the line, may your memories live on forever. Just seeing all of that, it spoke enough for about her character. Adam, another character, I guess the only male in the group, you know, he's the same way as well. You know, like Eve is just straightforward with a lot of things. Adam will go from being fun and just kind of exploring it to be like, you know, let's see where it goes, to just being like, damn, well, I guess that's life, you know, just very nihilistic and cynical, which is ironic because given the fact that everyone plays a big part, with the exception of Lily. You know, it's crazy. And then you have Lily, Artemis II, who's, I guess, your team's upgrade mechanic for all your exospines, your unlocking your nanosuits, unlocking, you know, upgrading your drone, all the other stuff. She's there, and she plays a prominent role in the true ending. Well, I guess plays enough of it, and she's just a small, like, little bubbly character, you know, and she's just fun and bouncing off the wall. She's eccentric and exciting. She really brings the joy to Eve's relatively just quiet demeanor. I mean, Eve talks and she's very, not even combatant, but she has her very, like, words of snark and sassiness, but Eve is just, you know, she's the equivalent of 2B in terms of personality. Just straightforward. The straight man to, I say, Lily's funny man to Lily's 9S. You know, like, Lily wants to be explorative and creative and fun. Eve is just, alright, mission, go here, do this, done. And Eve will have sides of being fun and all, but she is just still locked in. Mission, kill the Elder Naytiba. That's the whole point of this game, is just to kill the big boss, save Earth, and, you know, and save humanity, you know? And that's the good part. I would say, like, despite being only like about 4 or 5 locations, the game is pretty fucking huge. You know, you have Edo 7, you have Zion, the city, you have the Wasteland, the Great Desert, Matrix 11, you have the Raphael, you know, Tower, the Logical Space Complex, you have like the whole space stuff, the space elevators, the nest. You have a lot of just very beautiful locations. And sure, 2 of them maybe just wasteland desert-esque locations, and I get that people didn't like that, but I say I would like the appeal of that. It looked very beautiful. It looked very no thought upon. It was just unique to stare at it all day. I'm just like, wow, this is immaculate. Like, the scenery is beautiful. There was no lag stutter. There was no characters in the background or enemies walking at like 2 frames, and you got close, they got running like 300 frames. Like every action that was happening in the Wasteland had life. Enemies were walking around, fighting, just doing their own thing. They were just vibing for the most part, and I would say that's pretty dope. There was a lot more exploration. Hell, there was a lot to do. There was a lot to do in the game, from lore to soda cans, which would give you outfit and a few upgrades, and then the nanosuits. All the outfits in the game are themselves very beautiful. They're very nice to look at. Some of them are very risque. Some of them are very, you know, cute to look at. Some of them give Eve a lot more personality, especially start pairing them with different hairstyles. They're all just uniquely awesome. And with New Game Plus, you get, like, you know, I guess different designs slash recolors of said outfits, but they're still beautiful and worked on all the same. Like all the like Nano6 were put in with so much effort, and it really caters to how you want to see Eve as. I know for half of it I played in like certain outfits, like I think like 3 of them, less than 2 to 3 of the 4 of them, before I hit New Game Plus, and I was just switching over constantly just to see the outfits. It's like, oh, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. And Eve rocks all of them. You know, obviously she looks good in every outfit. And it's not, and it doesn't have no stat changes or nothing. It's just purely for cosmetic. You can make Eve look however you want, and it won't change the gameplay whatsoever. You know, Adam and Lily also have outfits, but only a shame that, you know, outside of the bonus, deluxe, digital deluxe outfits, Lily and Adam only really have about 2 outfits apiece and their respective New Game Plus variants. So about 4 outfits between each other. With New Game Plus, they at least give me 2 more outfits, so that both of them will have at least, give or take, at least 6 apiece. Like, I guess really just 2 or 3 outfits all together for the both of them. At least both of them are all recolors. The drone only has a few skins of itself, 1 from the pre-order, and 2 courtesy of like in 2 real different skins. And I'm like, man, I wish Lily and Adam had more skins. Sure, they're not in the cutscenes as often because usually the drone's in their stead half the time, but I guess it's nice to really customize them. You know, it gives you that true player freedom with it to make them feel just as special and just as unique. Honestly, if Stellar Blade gets any more DLC, I hope it caters more towards like any like story expansions, or hell, any like, I guess pre-sequel, or just hell, I don't care if it's a spin-off, or I don't care what the hell is it, like an in between. I want to know more about Adam. I want to know about his DLC side, or hell, Lily, since Lily's probably been there longer than Eve herself on Earth in Edo 7. I wouldn't mind giving both of those characters their own story expansions. Maybe they could offer like different types of gameplay, or hell, like different lore or more about it. In the endings, now hidden at the climax of this video, the endings were just as unique as well. Here's 3 endings. You have your good, you have your best, you have your neutral, you have your bad endings, but they're pretty good. You have your blatant, I'll do this or I won't do this, and then you have the really bad ending where like it's like the bad ending, I would say you only get it if you haven't tried to play the game. If you're just straight to the beginning to end, you will get that bad ending. The bad ending and making the wrong choice. Other than that, you will always get the best ending if you tried, even without trying. It's just playing the game. But if you're just speedrunning the beginning to end with real nothing, then yeah, you will open the window to getting it. And that's kind of it. The endings were nice. Some were harrowing. Honestly, they asked more questions depending which ending you got. Well, all of them asked more questions. The characters were nice. The story was, was serviceable. Honestly, I hope there's a sequel to Stellar Blade. I'm hoping they'll delve more into it. A sequel to it. And the fact this is like a Sony IP, which is even crazier, considering the controversies around it. And yes, the controversies around the game, talking about how Eve is sexualized and how all the outfits are sexualized or being censored, and PlayStation's a bastard, and anyone who supports the outfits being censored are just degenerates. Not anyone who supports the outfits not being censored are just degenerate gooners who just want to see a doll-like young girl be sexualized, and then people are just like, no, it's not about sexualization. It's just having the artist's work be untainted by the pushed upon morals of people on the internet, because they think that gazing upon a woman with beauty is such a sinful, distasteful act and can be considered only as sinful in nature. And for me, it didn't matter, because the outfit that they were complaining about already has a New Game Plus variant that's uncensored. It's the same color, it's the same outfit, but it's red, and it's available to go grab. So it didn't matter. Either way, we still win. Eve still looks fine as fuck, and I still did not regret wasting $80 on a game that I happily played and put at least 70 hours into, which I'm about to put like another 130 hours to minimum. Whew. It was a good game. I just hate that all the controversies before the game came out was spiking uncontrollably like radiation from Chernobyl. Just a lot of the complaints about Eve as a character. And I think to sum that all up from my perspective of it, it's just simply just saying we gotta stop putting ourselves, instead stop comparing ourselves to fictional characters. Because it makes you look bad when you feel like that you can't compete with a fictional character because they're attractive. And which is funny because her character is based off a real person. Her model, her face, everything is based off a real person. So I don't understand where the hate is coming from. I think we've grown too soft with all these female characters looking too, I guess, masculine in nature in all these modern games. And for once we have a game that wasn't made in the Western world, that wasn't made for Western audiences, and we have a pretty female character, and everyone just loses their mind because the thought of playing a very attractive female character is a bad sin. It's a fucking terrible sin to play as one. And I'm just kind of like, but why? Why? How is it bad to enjoy my game for 3 seconds? You know, it's not hurting anybody. But that's gonna be it for today. I think out of all my long time breaks, I think I just wanted to ramp out Stellar Blade, and it's been a minute, and that's been the only thing on my mind. But since we're nearing the summer, and inevitably nearing the 3rd anniversary / you know, all that, I think I'll become a lot more proactive and start cooking things up again. It's time for the summer of Kuma, and I hope you are ready for what I'm about to dish out. I hope. But that's gonna be it for today. I've been your lovely host of the most, and until next time, I gladly bid you adieu. And also buy Stellar Blade. It's worth the $60. I would say play it and love it and enjoy it like I did. Other than that, see you later.